Hi guys, in this video we're going to look at these minis from Magister Militum.
Scruffy Crow.
So I was having trouble tracking down some demons for Epic. Vanguard does a great range of Chaos Marines, and there's a couple of manufacturers that do sort of various other Epic proxies. And I looked at the whole list of manufacturers listed on the sort of Epic Facebook pages to see if I could find what I was looking for, and I could not find demons. There's a few on I think it's Mini Wars, or I'll put the thing up. But they're in America. The postage seemed quite high, and they still didn't have quite exactly what I wanted. And that is until I found these. Now I believe these are technically 10mm scale, but since they're demons, it shouldn't matter. So let's get these out of the bags and take a look at them. Start with these blade demons if we can ever get the bag open. Okay, so we've got 20 of these guys. Now initially when I ordered them, I was thinking I could put them 4 to a base, and I could get 5 bases out of them, which is the sort of minimum amount for Bloodletters. So this is a 20mm base. And I think now I've got them in front of me, 4 is going to be a bit crowded. They've all got quite a lot of sort of flash on the bottom here. Now as you can see, 2 I think fills the base adequately. I think 4 is still going to start to look a bit crowded. But I think because we've got 2 poses, 2 sort of off-centre to each other like that, are going to look pretty cool actually. So I'm happy with those. Let's see how they sort of scale up. We have here a Marine. So these guys are big next to a Marine. Now I've seen the sort of official old metal Bloodletter models, and they seem at least this big, if not a little bit bigger. But yeah, so they don't scale particularly well like that. They're even as big as my Minotaur, or bigger, sorry. So they are quite big fellas. But I'm still happy with them, and because they're definitely only going to go 2 to a base, that gives me 10 stands of these guys. So I'll get to work filing these down, and I'll get them stuck down to their bases, and we'll see how they look then. Second up is the big guy. Now, I'll be honest, the Bloodletter was the bit I was really looking forward to, because I was absolutely struggling to find a interesting cheap Bloodletter. And when I say cheap, I mean like under 20 quid, because the Games Workshop ones on eBay, are looking a little bit dated these days. Though I do like the style, I'd certainly not say no to one. But yeah, sometimes the prices they go for a single, essentially the same as a 28mm model, is a bit ridiculous. So I'll keep my eye out for those, but for now this guy is going to make a very good stand-in, I think. Here is my other big guy that'll be leading the other half of my coin unit. This is the Metal Angron, and I think compared to him, he's still a little bit large, but I still think definitely on the table they'll make a viable pair. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my jeweler's saw and completely remove this bottom base, and then while Angron sits on one of those, he will sit flat feet down on one of these, which is the same size but in MDF to match the rest of the army. Okay, I've got all my demons glued down to these bases, so I've gone 2 each for a base here. I thought I had 10 pairs of 2. I thought I had them all paired out as well. I knew I had a spare one, a little bonus they hadn't added in, probably by accident. But it turns out now I have 9 pairs of a lefty and a righty there, and 1 pair that is the same. But that is certainly not the end of the world. Right now, I'm going to give them a coat of this wood filler. Not coat. I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to clear that space between the two bases and try and hide that, blend it in. And then I'll get a coat of sand and an undercoat. I might even add a little bit to this base. Not that it's really necessary, but more or less just to add a bit of texture, shape to it. Just so once we've got the sand on, it won't just be a flat plane. Okay, it's a nice peaceful morning in my garden, and my demons are going to get some of this Halford's matte black. And after the black, these guys received a super quick zenithal highlight of white, mostly for the benefit of the Bloodthirster, to really bring out some of those details before I start painting. Okay, so I've started painting my demons. I'm starting off with a base coat of this corn red, appropriately. And this is a slightly sort of softer, pinkier red than the Mephiston red, because I want to make sure my demons kind of don't match too well with the colour of my sort of tanks and armour that you'd have seen in the previous video. Okay, so after I gave everyone a solid coat of the corn red, I've started highlighting the little guys with the Cador red. So this is what they look like individually highlighted with my sort of normal brush, and I'm quite happy with the way they're coming out. But I did do a quick experiment trying to do it a little bit quicker with sort of big brush, and I'm not as happy with that. It's a bit more blotchy, so I am going to individually take my time to highlight these guys up. For the big fella, I wanted to do something a little bit different, a little bit more detail. So I highlighted the corn red with the Mephiston red to start with. That's where we're at the moment. And on his belly and lower jaw here, I've used the corn red mixed with a bit of this Midland flesh to try and give a sort of fleshier underbelly, just for a bit of variation in colour. And then next step with this guy will be to highlight him with the Cador red as well, but just a very high highlight. Okay, so I finished all the bright red on the little guys, and then I went round with some black and did their eye holes, horns and swords with that, and they've all had a little splash of this Men of White base, bone colour, in their teeth. The big guy, I've gone around with the black as well, and we've got the red highlight on, so he's now 3 different reds on his skin, the shading on his belly, and then the black on his wings, fur and weapons. I'm going to do the weapons and horns and skin all one colour, and the fur down his neck, on his crotch there, is going to be a different colour. I'm going to quickly go around and do the bases on these guys now, and they'll be getting a sort of medium dry brush of this Gun Corpse brown, and then a really dry brush of the Man of White base, just to make the bases match everything else. And then I will go around with a dark grey, probably this Greatcoat grey, and highlight, like line highlight the swords and horns. Okay, that's all the bases done on the little guys, and I'm going to go and take my grey outside and paint the swords in the garden, I think. Okay, so that's all the little guys done. As you can see, the swords, it's not a very good example. But yeah, the swords have had sort of highlighting around the edges and on the blades, and the little horns have had a bit of a highlight. Kind of fiddly to do. And I've given them all a little flash of the Agrex Earthshade, just anywhere where they had the little teeth painted in. Not that it makes much difference, but I'm going to call them done. I'm happy with the way they've come out, with the way they look on the table. This guy, I've done the black here as well, so his horns I've highlighted, and then his wings you can see sort of better on the back. Sort of raise that pattern so you can see it. Same with his sword, done the edges and the lines. Also, everyone's bases have all been finished up. Now I'm going to use some of this XV88 on his whip, I think, just to start with. So I'm going to do the whole thing in this quite light colour, and then I'm going to give it a blast of contrast paint, the Snakebite Leather contrast paint, and I'll bring that back down. I've also done a little bit of a Agric Earthshade wash around his teeth there. Just gone over the fur parts with a bit of Rhinox hide. Still, it's fairly subtle, but I think it makes a nice differentiation between the brown-black parts and the grey-black parts. Makes his fur stand out that little bit better. Still waiting for this whip to fully dry, so I'm going to have a go at giving him some eyes. I'm going to go with this Evelyn Sunset. It's not the brightest of yellows, but it does have very good coverage, so that'd be good. Should be good for something like this. So that's what we're doing. Just 1 dot, 2 dots. So one criticism I do have of these models is that they don't so much have eyeballs as eye holes. So it gives me a little bit less to work with. I've got a bit of the original corn red on my brush at the moment. I'm just going to take that under there just to sort of neaten up where I put that eye in. I'm relatively happy with the way that's come out. And I feel like it's given the model a bit of life. Okay, I'm happy the whip's dry. And I've gone over it in a few places to make sure it's a nice consistent coat. And I'm just going to go on with this, I said, the snakebite leather contrast. And that's given me these sort of highs and lows, bringing out all this like a wash would, but also giving it this nice leathery colour. I'm just working that around now to get this to be a nice sort of even colour. So that will try a little bit lighter than that, but I'm going to leave that as it is for a little while, let all this set, and then we'll finish up with the flames. Okay, so I black rimmed these guys' bases, so they are totally done now. And the big guy is whip dried, and we've used this as a base, and then did the inner flames with Cygnus yellow, and then the outer flames with the Kato red again, to give them a little fiery effect, which I think has worked quite nicely. And I think he's pretty much done. We've got some eyes in there. Yeah, and I'm pretty happy with the way he's come out. Alright, so my overall thoughts are, this guy is spot on. I'm really happy with him. He is definitely going to be my Bloodthirster. These guys, on the other hand, are definitely on the 15mm scale. They are like 15mm to the eyes. So they are probably a little bit big. I mean, here they are next to my squats. These guys tower over them. I think for my purposes, because they're demons, I'm not that worried about that. But if you wanted something a bit more in scale, the Micro World Games ones are probably a better call. I did have a look on their website today. I was considering ordering some for the Pit Fiends as well. But the postage was as much as the models. And I've got these guys now, so I'm probably going to be alright. I'd certainly order from these guys again. So they're not the most detailed miniatures in the world, but then they are fairly tiny. I think this guy's got a lot of character. So I'd certainly order from Magister and Militum again. Oh, hang on. Just spotted the sword could do with a bit of gold. Hang on. There we go, that's a bit better. I added some black on the wing spikes as well. So yeah, it's a big fan of this guy. Definitely order from them again. Depending on what you're looking for, these guys might be a little bit large. But they're certainly fit for my purposes and are going to be a pretty key part of my army. Has anyone else spotted some small-scale demons other than these and Micro World Games? If so, let me know down in the comments, because I am happy to shop around, especially if you can find somewhere UK-based or even European. And that's all for this video. Please let me know what you thought down in the comments. Maybe subscribe for more. And as ever, thanks for watching. Bye.